Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast with myself, the notorious Jigs, aka the Slack Supremacist, and my guy,
E Major. And we're here, Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop.
Indeed. Last week, man, we had an episode that I really enjoyed doing, man. That was really good to catch up with Snips. And this week we're going to be looking at buzz, like hip hop buzzes. Who had the biggest buzzes that we remember in hip hop, man? Who from when we were young, remembering what the streets were saying, what the charts were saying, just reliving those moments, man, of those massive hip hop moments that we had, and also looking at the ones that didn't quite hit what they were expected to, man. So me and E have drawn up a little list of our own, man, and we're gonna go through those ones one by one and have a little discussion. So E, man, I think you should kick off, bro.
Yeah, man. Gladly, man.
We'll start off with the biggest buzzes, man. It's the ones that actually lived up to the hype.
Okay, man. Yeah, all good. So we'll do that, man. And yeah, it was a really good episode last week. I enjoyed that, man. I didn't have much input because my streams were just messing up, man. So
no, you're all good this week, brother.
Yeah, but we're good this week, so we'll roll, man. So yeah, so we're looking at buzzes. So like Slack said, we're going to look at buzzes that met their expectations and some that didn't. So we'll start off with a few that met. And I want to start off with Rest His Soul. I want to start off with DMX, man. None other than Earl Simmons, man. Darkman X himself. For me, that was one of the biggest buzzes I've seen, just in a sense of just really being excited to hear what was going to drop. And obviously this is from a personal aspect and, you know, from a streets aspect and what people thought of it as well. But I know for me, I remember clearly I was sitting down. I think it was Money, Power, Respect, Locks. Might have been the first time I heard him, or even Mace's 24 Hour to Live, but one of those two. But I remember clearly just hearing it, thinking, "Right, who's that?" Just instantly caught my attention, man. I thought, this guy, man, he's good. I want to hear more. And then I remember hearing the single he put out as well. But it was his, yeah, that's right. And it was his verse on 4-3-2-1 as well. And we know that's a stat track up to now. Still one of my favorite posse cuts, man. You know, I think everyone delivers on that track. Not even Master P, like a disrespect to Master P. I say that because a lot of versions Master P ain't in it, but
Master P was on the version I had.
Exactly. Yeah, no, he wasn't. I think it was the MTV version.
It was in the video.
Right.
There was like a video that I saw, and I was like, "What the hell's Master P doing on here?"
Exactly. He was cut out from a lot of them. So I heard some people saying because his verse didn't go down too well or what have you. God knows. I don't really know why it was cut from a lot of the mixes, but
I think he was added in after the original, because the original was Meth, Red, DMX, LL, and
Cannabis. LL, Cannabis, yeah, and that's it.
And I think after, like, with the success of that P was having, I think they probably thought, let's throw him on a remix.
Yeah, to get that Southern connection as well.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Because that was what, 98 was that? 97?
No, it was
because It Start dropped 98.
4-3-2-1 was on what? The Phenomenon album.
Yes, I think it was.
That was 97.
Yeah, 97. Yeah, that would have been the back end of 97.
That P was taking over.
Right, exactly. So yeah, you're right. They probably thought, look, even if it was just for the video mix or what have you, they probably thought, reach out.
Let's throw him on there. We'll get more reach. Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, because DMX, I guess, would have been relatively unknown. Well, not unknown. He would have been known to the industry because he had stuff. I know he was on Mike Geronimo's drop. And he did have a couple of attempts before, didn't he? I'm not going to lie on that, like I know everything about hip hop. He didn't catch my attention before. I even heard the Mike Geronimo album, and I don't even remember DMX, like even hearing him. Do you know what I'm saying? Them times.
The Vendetta album.
Yeah, he was not, or was it The Natural? Which one was it?
The Natural was hard, but I don't remember DMX being on The Natural. I swear he was on the Vendetta.
Might have been Vendetta, yeah.
Disappointment, I remember, because it had like Jay. It had
that was the track, yeah.
Yeah, it had all these people on it, and I think people were expecting it to be, because I know I did. I expected it to be something bigger than what it was, man. I think a lot of people disappointed with that album. I think that was the same year. Exactly. 97 as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that would have been, apart from what he tried to drop a few years before, I think that would have been the first time we actually properly properly heard DMX. You know what I mean? But as I said, it didn't even register with me for some reason. It was those times when he was dropping his stuff, his feature verses and things like that. When I was really like, right, who's this? And 4-3-2-1 is hard, man. Everyone delivers on that track. But for me, and I'm not just saying it because he's not here. If you go back over my blogs and stuff, I say it. I think he had the best verse on that. Yes, Cannabis killed it, but I think DMX's flow and just everything, how he was going, just everything, man. Quotables, he killed it on that track. And yeah, so I was itching to hear more, man. And as we know, it was a real, like we speaking about with Snips last week as well. That was that time, innit? 97, 98 was that real hip hop divide. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like choose a side. Some people are still on that flex, but most of us now just you like what you like, innit? But then it was very much choose a side. Do you know what I'm saying? Hip hop was getting very glossy, as we know, and very blingy and all of this, man. And DMX just came with that darkness, that aggressiveness. It was just raw, like we hadn't seen for a long time. Everything from his voice to his flow to his look, just everything was like, right, I need to hear more. So yeah, itching, waiting for that it start to drop, man. And for me, it dropped, didn't disappoint. I know when it dropped 98, I still it's one of my top 10 favorites of all time. And I know for me, it was one of those albums that I just left. I would just leave playing all day, go back to it, just repeat it when it's finished. I just loved it, man. Everything about it, the depth, the purity, the honesty, the vulnerability, the beats, the features were just right. Yeah, it was a time hip hop needed that album, man. So that was for me was a big buzz. Everyone wanted to hear DMX. I remember being in queues to go to hip hop shows and things like that. People talking about DMX. I want to hear this DMX. Like literally anything that I saw his name on around that time, I would just buy it. Literally off of the same with Pun, but anything I saw his name on, I would just buy. And for me, I'll say this as well. I don't think DMX is the best feature artist, and I know that sounds mad because he was killing the features. I know on the Onyx remix, the Onyx Shut 'Em Down, like I said, the 4-3-2-1, the Lots, Money, Power, Respect. I know he's got standout verses on them, but for me, I always see DMX as a I know it's a bit cheesy to say sometimes, but as an artist, not just a rapper. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like Tupac, an artist, sometimes they don't give you the best feature verses, but when you get a project from them, you're going to get everything you need to get from that project. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, It's Dark was just perfect, man. It was a brilliant album, man. So yeah, that's what I wanted to kick off with. That had one of the biggest buzzes that I remember. I'd have been in college them times, and yeah, it was DMX, man. Everyone was talking about DMX, and it didn't disappoint at all, man. In my opinion, how did you feel about it?
I don't know. Say that again.
I said, how did you feel about him? I mean, more probably about how, his buzz and the album dropping and things like that. How did you feel about it?
I don't know, man. I had a bit of a weird relationship with X's music. So obviously I heard 4-3-2-1. There was something else I heard him on before his album dropped. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was the 24 Hours to Live.
Yeah, I think it was the Mace thing, because that was 97 as well, isn't it?
I think it was that, because I obviously despise Mace, and so I think 24 Hours to Live was like the only song I bothered to listen to on that garbage Harlem World or whatever it was album that he dropped. And I thought X was cool. I don't know. I just liked the fact that he was different, but I didn't like. There was something I didn't like about his delivery. I don't know. I think it was like the voice and I don't know. There was just something I didn't. I was like, it's cool, but. But then when the album dropped, I remember it vividly. My cousin, big up Dean, he was all over this album. Like he was just kept on badgering me about this, and I was buying everything. Like I literally buy albums every single week. And back in them days, like you would have to buy an album off the strength of it could possibly be good.
Yeah, exactly.
The single, you know what I mean? So you had to take a risk. So I remember I bought this album, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And I took it home and I played it because I heard Get At Me Dog, and I didn't like that song.
I did it at first, which
I didn't
like
the beat. I don't know.
Something about it,
Something about it, I just did. And people going nuts for this song.
And
it just didn't resonate with me, to be honest, man. I much preferred Rough Riders Anthem. I thought that was crazy because that would just set all the clubs, everything. But Get At Me Dog, I don't know. Up to this day, it's just not my favorite X song.
I like it now, but I know what you mean. At first, I struggled with it, but I like it now.
Yeah, just I don't know. The beat was just I don't know. I just didn't like it. But when I heard the album now, that was crazy to me. Just the whole. I remember playing Damien like about 4 or 5 times, just in a row, just like this guy.
It's mad, isn't it?
Like this is mad. And then I remember ATF and listening to that with me and my cousin. We were just like, what? Like, what you gonna do? Beat Carlos? And I was like, this is
mad.
This is mad.
You felt the intensity in it. It's like he was there.
What was the other? There was another tune on there. Stop Being Greedy.
The beat switch and the voice change.
Sick. And then the tune with Mace, and I was like, this is Mace. This is Mace.
That's still the hardest Mace verse I've ever heard. That's the hardest
Mace verse I've ever heard in my life.
Apparently, he used to rap like that, though, you know. That's how he used to be until he hooked up with your favorite A&R.
It's all iffy because like there was no Children of the Corn album, so I don't want people referring to his time with Big L and them man there because we ain't got that.
We ain't got proof of that.
They're not finished. They're not mixed. So let's not use that as an example of what Mace is capable of, please. Like let's stop with that crap. We've got Harlem World, you've got Welcome Back and all that other nonsense, Double Up and all that garbage. But anyway, I digress. That album was fire.
Puff, bro.
That album was fire. So it definitely lived up to the hype, but I wasn't involved in the hype part of X. But when the album came out, I was sold, man. I loved, like, as you said, man, the authenticity of his delivery, just what he was talking about, and then the prayer. There was just so much in one album, man. He just gave you
every emotion, man. Every emotion.
It was crazy. And then for him to do it again in the same year, we had never, like this year, no, not this year, but now we get out, it's dropping 4 or 5 albums. Albums, projects, EPs, whatever they want to call it. Back then, nah, the most you're getting is 1 a year. You would never get 2 albums in 1 year, and both of them slapped.
Both smashed, both #1.
X was different, bro. And I just, after that first album, man, I was sold. So for the first album, definitely, man, I was all over it on X's buzz, man. I wasn't a big fan of the third album. I think that was it. Great Depression?
Then there was X. That was 99, isn't it?
What way round? If it's Then There Was X or Great Depression, whichever way.
Definitely Then There Was X, because that was 99, and then Great Depression was, I think, 2001.
So I think I prefer the Great Depression to And Then There Was X.
Okay.
I think that's how it went. But overall, man, R.I.P. X, man. That was
definitely, man. Definitely,
that was a real guy, man. And that debut album, as you said, man, so rightfully, we were at a point with the jiggy shit. Biggie had died. Like hip hop didn't have its superstar. Nas should have taken over at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah, 98.
Nas should have had that, man. But Jay-Z snuck in the back door. DMX just took over, bro. And he was doing shows like with thousands and thousands of people with the hardest. He didn't compromise his music one bit, and that's what I love about him. He never compromised. What you can listen to his stuff now, you're like, bro, he was going hard, like on all of these.
He was, man.
And he just made the music he wanted to make, bro. And that's what I respected so much about him. And just every album just had something that he was giving you everything on his albums, man. But his debut, I totally agree, man. The buzz wasn't me, but I was sold on that album for sure.
Definitely, man.
My one is a pretty obvious one, but I think we got to have the obvious ones in there, and that's Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Of course, man.
So I remember vividly it being in secondary school, and there was this girl called Siobhan, and this girl was on my case. No, her name was Shireen. Sorry, Shireen. And this girl would leave me alone, and I didn't like her at all. Like she wasn't nice to me, but she was a massive Snoop Dogg fan, and I was a massive hip hop fan. And there was like a little crew of us who were big into hip hop, and there was the Deep Cover song with Dre. That was the first time I had ever heard. And I loved it. Obviously, like that whole 187, like that was just like everyone was just running around like singing that little piece of the song and all of that. We're like, who is this Snoop guy? And obviously,
exactly, man.
Coming off NWA, coming off, and obviously roping Snoop in to do the Chronic.
Yeah.
So I think he was one of the first voices you heard on the Chronic as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And I think Dre Day dropped before Chronic as well, innit? So it gave us more Snoop.
That video, you remember the box, right?
Yeah.
That Dre Day video will come on all the time. All the time. And it was dissing Eazy-E and all this. So it's like this Snoop and Dre they're a mad team. Mad crazy team. And then Nothing But a G Thing came out. And if we're being honest, that is probably one of the quintessential hip hop songs.
Oh, definitely, man.
You can play that song in any setting, and you can play the clean version. And like, my mum would remember that song. My uncles would. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a song for the ages. You could play.
Of course, man. 30 years later, of course, man. It's still a classic single.
Yeah, and it was so simple. 1, 2, 3 into the 4, but just the way he came in and the video,
everything, man.
Everything was just aligned perfectly. So this was all before Doggy Style even dropped. So from the time you've got him on Chronic, you had him on the Deep Cover, which was a dope film as well. The Deep Cover movie was dope. So everything just tied in perfectly. So the hype was fever pitch for Snoop, man. And I remember, 100%, and I was only 13.
Yeah, it would have been about that, 12, 13.
So I remember we had record stores called R Price back in the day, Virgin, Megastore. Bro, the album was sold out everywhere. I'd never seen that. Obviously, I'm 13 years old and I just went to go buy this album. And I remember, because it had the parental advisory sticker thing on it, I remember like one guy was like, "Oh, I can't sell you this album. You have to be with a parent or whatever." I was like, "What?" So I just went out the road, man. I just went to another store and I just copped that shit, like no problem. Someone else didn't care. Yeah, I went to like 2 stores, man, and they were sold out, bro. So that was crazy to me. And when I heard the album, my mum.
It was crack, man. No doubt.
Was so annoyed with how much I was playing this album. Like, she ejected the cassette because I bought it on cassette first. And I remember she ejected the cassette and like it got tangled in the thingy. I was so pissed, man, because she was just like, "Turn that thing off," because I played it all the time. But there was just so many just quotables and dope songs.
It was too much, man. It was too
melodies much. And Dre's production. It was just perfection. Just from start, it was just better than anything I could have imagined it would be. Because you know, sometimes when you've got the hype, and then when you hear what the hype was, you're like, that wasn't me. But that was beyond what the hype was, in my opinion. I think Doggy Style was like, and you'll still quote like DJ Easy Dick to this point, and
bro,
you had
everything,
the skits, everything, like Gin and Juice. Like, how perfect is Gin and Juice? How perfect is Doggy Dog World? Even the outro, Pump Pump, is one of the dopest songs ever. That bass line, bro, like everything about that album was just incredible. And then for it to sell like 5 million copies as a debut hip hop album, that was just unheard of. And he was from LA. And remember, at that time, I was massively East Coast influenced, but I loved West Coast music. I loved down south music. So I wasn't bothered about coast because we weren't involved in the bias. You know what I mean?
That's what I always say to people. Yeah, exactly.
We listen to music from everywhere, but for it to sell that many units globally, like as a debut rapper, was unheard of. And for it to be that good as well, and for all the stuff he was saying, calling women bitches and hoes, and there was so much profanity. It's probably one of the most misogynistic albums ever made, like that one and the Dog Pound album. Like, I listen to them now and I'm like, whoa, like there's these albums, bro. But women loved it. I went to a Snoop show and there was just bare girls there. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, like untouchable as a hip hop buzz album, man. What do you
No,
got?
Doggy Style. Yeah, no, incredible. And I don't want to be one of these people that say everything's my favorite. I don't want to, but I'll gladly give you my 10 favorite. Seriously, I'm not.
It is
But
what it is. It is what
it
it
is
is.
what it is, man. I'll gladly give you my top 10 hip hop albums. And Snoop's Doggy Style is number 2 for me of all time. Like I think it's incredible, man. Like start to finish. Do you know what I mean? I think
No,
I
there's no
remember, like you
message.
said,
There's no real. There's 2 songs I don't like, but I wouldn't say they're whack. I'll
there's
just say
literally none.
I'll
What
just
to
say
you
I
for the
don't like
record?
them. It was like Lardy Dardy. I didn't like the fact
Yeah.
that he redid Slip Rick's song, and
Mm.
I didn't like Murder Was the Case. But I think it was just the
What?
beat. I didn't. Yeah, I like the
Wow.
song. I like the concept,
Mm.
but there was something about. I think it was the remix I didn't like. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. It was the remix because there was 2 versions. There was one with the
Yeah.
I didn't like that version, but the
Yeah.
version that was on the album, the murder, that was hard.
Course, man. Like that's literally an album, and we've spoken about this a lot of times before, man. When everyone throws out tens, but that's literally an album I'd give a 10 to. I think like there's
Easy.
not one song
10
on
and
it
a
I
half.
don't like. Even the skit, exactly. Even the skits, everything's quotables.
Everything.
Even what song is it, man? Is it the Shiznits? What's the one where he's got the skit where he's in the classroom, and they're
I'm
talking about what they want to be when they grow up? Yeah,
yeah.
that, bro. Like G's and
That was
Hustlers, of
G's and
course.
Hustlers.
Yeah, that's it. Just everything, man. Even from Rage on the intro, like every single thing about the album is just it just sits
Corrupt bars
perfect,
on that
man.
album as well, bro.
Listen, yeah, listen. I can't. It don't put a foot
Crazy.
wrong for me, man. It deserves every bit of accolade it gets. Chronic and Doggy Style are both in my top 10. I have Doggy Style over Chronic.
Yeah, me too.
I know a lot of people don't like that, but I have Doggy Style over Chronic. For me, like you said, it may even just be nostalgia, but I remember going to a school trip to maybe Fort Park or something like that, man. And I remember I had it in my ears just the whole trip. I'm just listening and rapping along to the whole album all the way to Fort Park and back, man. Like I was obsessed with the album. I was obsessed with it, man. Everywhere I went, it went in my Walkman. It was always
Yeah.
playing at home. Every song. I remember someone put on Twitter one time, if you had to rap one album word for word to save your life, what album would you choose? And I chose Doggy Style. It's probably the album I know by heart the most. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of people would as well because it was made so easy. I think that was part of Snoop's appeal as well.
Definitely, yeah.
The fact that he wasn't complex and he wasn't lyrical in a sense. He'll just say stuff that sounded dope, and it was easy to rap along with.
Exactly.
Like, Corrupt was more of a gunslinger.
He
rapper.
was more intricate with
He was
a
more of
lyricist.
hitting hoes with tennis rackets and all of that kind of stuff. But Snoop was just more of that laid back.
1, 2, yeah, he was just chilled,
like,
man.
just like in the studio, just saying. And I think a lot of that album was freestyled. I know for a fact
it comes across like that.
The
Definitely,
shit that was a freestyle. I know for a fact that was a freestyle, and I think that's what made it easier to relate to, especially at the age I was, where his raps were just so easy to repeat, and the stuff that he was saying was just so dope. Just at the time, just like, yeah, it just lived in. Just was ingrained, man. I listened to the album for probably 2-3 years straight.
Definitely, man. You can still throw. I mean, I still listen to it now.
I still play it a lot now to this day.
Still listen to it now, and I never want to skip it. Like it's always, it's aged brilliantly as well, man.
Yeah,
I think the Chronic has probably aged better than Doggy Style.
You think?
But I still have musically. I think musically the Chronic's probably aged better. But I still will have Doggy Style over the Chronic, if that makes sense.
I'll have Doggy Style over the Chronic all day, man, because that album just hit like a meteorite, man. It
was crazy, man.
I think you think, man, that was what, 93? Like
93. And that was a strong year, you know.
Hey, bro. That's the same year as Midnight Marauders and
Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was a strong year, man. Onyx, a lot of stuff dropped 93, man. That was a strong year. And yeah, for him to come through like that. And he had a good run, you know, because he had this Doggy Style. He had obviously the Murder Was the Case soundtrack, the Above the Rim. Yeah, man, he had a good run, man. Like that little period of time. Yeah,
he had a good run.
Oh, bro, don't. But yeah, man, he didn't put a foot wrong, man. But yeah, man, that was classic, man. That was classic. All right, so let me jump onto my next one then. So let me just go who I went. Right, yeah, so I had Redman down for my next buzz. That didn't disappoint. Do you know what I mean? What can I say, man? We had obviously the EPMD. Was it? I think it was Business as Usual, innit? Yeah.
Oof.
So he was on there, you know, he had a couple features on some of their early albums, obviously, man. And Redman, he always had that element about him that he demanded your attention. You'd always be like, right, who's this guy? Do you know what I'm saying? You wanted to hear more, man. He was exciting, he was funny, but intricate as well. And I know I always mention her probably every week, but my big sister, man, she was a huge Redman fan. So obviously she'd be playing his stuff, man. He was probably my first favorite rapper. Do you know what I'm saying?
Same.
Yeah, man. So you hear, obviously, I would always hear EPMD through her because she was always playing their stuff. So I'd hear him, I'd hear his little like rah rah, like his little mad little things, and they'd be sticking in your head. He'd drop his album, and that what the album, constant play, man. It's just constant rotation, round and round. What singles did he drop before? Obviously, he dropped Time for Some Action. There's a couple singles he dropped before the actual album dropped, though, and they were in hard rotation. Was it Jam for You?
Wasn't it Blow Your Mind? Wasn't that
Blow
one?
Your Mind, Blow Your Mind, Blow Your Mind. So I know he dropped a couple, 2 or 3 singles before the album dropped, and obviously they were in heavy rotation. So I know Redman's buzz was hard. You know what I mean? For me, my circle and whoever, I can't speak for everyone, but I know people I was around and hip hop on the whole, because now it's very easy to know how the whole hip hop community is feeling, isn't it? Because you just got
You've got ways of
social media. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy to know who's felt and who's not. But back then, you kind of felt like your circle was the only kind of circle that really mattered, didn't it? Because that's all that's all the only people you're really talking about it with until you go to a concert or something like that. But yeah, so yeah, that album dropped, man. Heavy rotation. Once again, humor, wittiness. The beats were hard. His flows. He is an intricate rapper. I've heard people say he's not a lyricist. He is a lyricist.
100%
You know
he's a
what I mean?
lyricist.
He definitely is. It's just in the different aspects. Do you know what I mean? I remember one day. This is a bit random, but I remember one day listening to Redman. No word of a lie. And I remember thinking to myself, and I was young as well. I remember thinking to myself, it's weird because I almost feel like he makes vocabulary and the English language suit his purpose rather than the other way around.
That's how
I
it should
remember,
be.
yeah, exactly. But I remember listening to Redman thinking this guy's actually mad because he never sounds like he would struggle to string verses together. Like it's almost like it's sitting there saying, "What do you want us to say for you, Reggie?" Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the way he brings it together. It's just, it's deep, man. And yeah, that album was good. It didn't disappoint at all. Muddy Waters is my favorite from Redman. What the album is my second favorite, but it's an incredible album, man. To this day, still play it. The funk samples, the soul on it, man. It's incredible album, man. Yeah, and it impacted us hard, man. That was a big buzz that didn't disappoint in the slightest, man. Redman's deserves his flowers, man.
I totally agree, man. Redman was my favorite rapper from 92 to 99. Redman could do. I mean, if you go back now and you look at what he did from 92 to 99, it's not only the dope albums that he dropped. He's got more features than people give him credit for. He's done Christina Aguilera. He's done SWV. He's done Jodeci. He's done Aaron Hall. He's done so many features outside of hip hop, and considering he was a hardcore,
exactly,
talking about smoking weed and all this crazy funked out stuff he was talking about, and he was doing tunes with SWV and making it work. He did tunes with Mystique, with Beverly Knight,
D'Angelo, Adam F.
Drew Hill, all of that. He's done tunes with everyone, bro. And rappers at the time, I remember reading in the source. I can't remember what the exact article was, but they were basically asking artists what albums they were looking forward to or something. Every one of them said Redman. All of the rappers were like, I'm waiting on that Redman album. And I remember they were talking about the day when Redman's album drops, like how people are queuing outside, like for a Redman album drop. Bro, like he had it, and he was selling like 500,000 every time. Like it was a staple. He would at least go gold on his albums. And if you listen to what he was like, There Is a Dark Side should never have been as good as it was. Like it just shouldn't, because he wasn't working with Eric. I mean, he was doing a lot of drugs and he was on all kinds of stuff, man. And I remember buying that album like it was yesterday morning. I remember it. I was 14. I went to Just for the Beat.
Just for the beat. Just for the beat.
to look and see what they had, and I saw the red cover because they had the cassettes. They used to stand the cassettes up like on that little wooden cabinet thingy, whatever.
Just for the beat, for memories.
Like, tilted a little bit to the side, and I saw the red cover, and I was like, Redman's new album. £10, there you go, man. Take my money, give me the album. I went home, and I had to go to college to go and look for a new college that evening. My mum and one of my best friends and his mum were meant to go and check out this new college and whatever. But I was listening to this album, man, and I was just blown away, bro. I couldn't wait to finish and come back and listen to it again. And I listened to the album solidly. I can't even tell you, like, even up to this day, bro. I can listen to the album top to bottom. I don't skip a track. I know every word. I know every skit. I know every bridge. I know every transition. Like, literally every noise, everything. It's just,
see, it didn't hit me like that, you know. I don't know why it didn't hit me like. I think because I loved What the album so much. What and Dare are very different, man. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they're both still very Redman, but they're very different to me and to my hearing. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's the lack of Eric or what, but that must play a huge part. But it's very different, and I think when I listen, not that anything's wrong with it being different, but I don't know. I don't think it was a different that I wanted. Do you know what I'm saying? At the time, it's my third favorite now.
People thought that. Some people definitely did think, you know, Redman's doing all this dark, mystic stuff. But when I actually just go through the songs on that album, to start it off with Bob Your Head to This, which is like one of the greatest intro songs I've ever heard in my life. And just the one-liners and the humor and the darkness and the funk and the beats and the cohesion, it's got absolutely everything on the album. And me and my friends, like, we'd be saying like lines to each other, like off neurotic and stuff. Like, he starts off the tune with "I'm swift like a motherfucking gift for Christmas." We were like, what is this guy? What's he even saying? Like,
he's something different, man,
bro. And then Green Island is like one of the greatest rap songs like ever made. Dude is rapping from 3 different perspectives on a song. It's like, no one else has done that I know about. You, Redman, Uncle Quilly, and Reggie Noble, all on one tune, all one man rapping to crazy.
It is mad. I think I do need to revisit a bit more because I always go to album 1 and 3. You know what I mean? Muddy and What, they're the ones I really spin a lot. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, I know Dark Side. I've listened to it a lot, but nowhere in comparison to the other two. But for me, it's a good album. There's no denying that.
That album for me is by far my favorite Redman album, and I am the biggest Redman fan. Well, I was the biggest Redman fan out there. And as I said, for 7 years, 92 to 99, you can't tell me anyone was. There was bigger rappers, obviously.
Yeah, commercially.
Redman's consistency had other rappers checking for Redman. Let's put it that way. Other rappers were like, shit, what's Redman dropping? I want to hear the new Superman Lover. Because he will give you 20 tracks and you will just play that shit from front to back. You ain't skipping nothing. You know he's going to be dropping some fire. That happened every time. And it's the features and the Blackout and everything else, the Def Squad album, everything else that he did, man. I was always just waiting for that Redman verse, just to hear what crazy.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, man, that buzz, man, was crazy. Like 92. He was by far. I remember me and my best mate at the time, we were both massive Redman fans with What the album, because he was just so different to everything.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, crazy. So yeah, man, I totally agree with that one for sure, 100%.
Yeah, so what was your next one? Number 2, I think it was.
Number 2 on my list of buzzes that actually translated was, I don't think this one could be missed off the list, man. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson.
Definitely, man.
Now, I said that Snoop was like, you know, probably the biggest buzz that I had seen, but 50 Cent buzz.
Actually, yeah.
That was, and I think because it was in a different time, so it was 2002, 2003.
I think it was 3.
I think the album dropped in 3.
Rich Died 3.
But the buzz started in 2002 because that's when the mixtapes, and because I had I had what was his debut, man?
50 Cent's Future.
Nah, that was the mixtape.
Oh, his Power of the Dollar.
Power of the Dollar.
Mm.
So before all of that, I had How to Rob, which was on the Mad Rapper album.
Mad Rapper album, yeah.
Then I heard Rowdy Rowdy, which was on the In Too Deep soundtrack.
Mm.
And I was like, this guy is fire. At the time, I was working for like a music stroke computer game multimedia distribution company. So we used to get loads and loads of promos. And I had the 50 Power of the Dollar on promo. So I was playing that a lot, and I was like, yeah, this is dope. This is really good. But after all of that, and he got shot and went away for a bit, the buzz came back. And I remember in 2002, me and my mates were going to a club, and I can't remember the song that was playing, but we were playing it over and over. The 50 Cent song. I can't remember which one it was.
Gangster, maybe? Because I know that's for me. That was the one where.
No, it wasn't. I think it was a song of. I think it was Be a Gentleman.
Guess Who's Back. Yeah.
Guess Who's Back. But before Guess Who's Back came out, Be a Gentleman was already on the roads. So I can't remember where we got it. We must have got it on promo or something. But I just remember that kind of Christmas Carol kind of.
Yeah. That was hard. Yeah.
And he was talking some fire over this Christmas Carol beat. And we played that to death, bro. And then the mixtapes came out and the interviews came out where he was sitting on the stoop and he was polishing a gun or something. And then he was looking, and then a police car was rolling up and he was like, let's go inside. He was like, oh shit, like this guy is about it. And obviously, there was this whole thing about he got shot, 9 times and he survived. Bro, I've never seen hype like it. It was Snoop's hype was big because that was based on music and the fact that he was an LA gangster and all of this kind of stuff. But with 50,
and he was running with Dre as well, and that definitely added to it.
That co-sign and Eminem, because he's coming off the back of Eminem's massive success with his albums. So everything was just in place. He was on the biggest label with the biggest producer, with the biggest rapper. He had built his own buzz. He had record labels fighting to sign him. Had the beef with Jeffrey. Literally, all of the stars just went whoop, and he just
100%. You couldn't go wrong, man.
Yeah, and then when In the Club came out, I remember it vividly. There was a club called the Aquarium. I don't know if it's still
yeah.
So we went to the Aquarium, and one of my mates was DJing that night, and I think there was a lifeguard in there called Giselle. Giselle, if you're about, I'm really sorry I didn't call you back. It was one of my life's biggest regrets. But yeah, Giselle was amazing. But anyway, so that song was played by the DJ, and he wheeled it back 3 to 5 times.
I was gonna say they never play it once.
The place went nuts
Couldn't play it once.
Time. And this was a time before when singles were out before the album. Now we don't get singles anymore. We don't get lead ups. We don't get build ups. Nothing. We just get here's the album. Take that away. Then we had the single, and then the big album drop. So we couldn't wait for the album, bro. And then when the album drops again, same as Doggy Style, sold out. I went here.
Yeah, there were queues, there were lines for it, man.
Bro. And then there was 2 versions.
For it.
You had one version where there was like the broken glass that he's standing in. Then there was another version where he had the bulletproof vest on, and then it was like a CD, a DVD that came with it.
Yeah, like an enhanced one. Yeah, that had videos and it had like half of Guess Who's Back on it as well.
Right. So there was 2 different versions, and then I bought both. Like I had to get both. I took it home and I played it, and I was just like, that album again got rinsed for at least a year, clean.
Yeah.
Right, the summer, everything rinsed. Then I was buying, bro. I hate Reebok. Like Reebok was always corny, nasty to me, like white supremacist clothing.
Damn, that's harsh. I
was buying RBK G Unit sneakers to match my G Unit tee, dickhead. But at the time, I was doing all that.
Of course, man. Yeah. Bro, everyone was.
There was a computer game. There was
the films he had.
The films, just everything, just crazy.
His buzz was mad. His buzz was actually really crazy, and that he lived off that album for a long time because like every track he was dropping off that was a smash. They were like big singles.
Remember, like back when albums had singles, and you could live off that album for ages because
he lived that for a long time, man.
Yeah, he had so many songs.
21 Questions in the Club.
he'll drop another song and then the album will go again, and then he'll drop another song and the album will go again, and it just went and went and went.
Definitely, man. You know what? I actually put not on the same level, but Massacre don't get the respect it deserves, though. You know,
I think Massacre was a good album. I'm not gonna lie, I think Massacre was a good album. Like, if you look at the production on there, Dre had some nasty beats on there. He had some joints on that album. He had some nasty filler. He had some nasty filler. Like,
it was too long. It was too bloated. Yeah, definitely.
2 songs with Olivia on there. That I think just hurt the album, but he still sold. I swear that album went diamond as well. I swear he sold 10 million.
Sure, you know, it probably would have, because he would have still been on that. What year did that drop? Did he drop? Did they drop Beg for Mercy yet? G-Unit. But that whole era, you know what I mean? They weren't really going wrong. That whole Beg for Mercy, Massacre.
Beg for Mercy was big, because I remember I went to the 50 show. Do you remember when I don't know if you were there, but there was like
I've not seen him live.
Oh, you never seen him? So he came up on the stage, like it rose from the ground, and it was like the Statue of Liberty and Empire State Building, and he was like on top of it, and he was meant to jump off, and he jumped off and he fell.
Oh, you're joking.
Start the show, and then he did the show, whatever, and then at the end he went, I'm gonna play you something off the upcoming G-Unit album. So I think G-Unit did come before the Massacre. So he played Stunt 101, and I remember everyone in the crowd was like, "Oh shit! Like, this sounds crazy!" Like, hearing that bass line over like massive stage speakers, it sounded bananas. So again, like, the buzz was crazy for that, and then the Massacre came out. Yeah, crazy career, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, the only probably time he started dipping a bit was probably Curtis, isn't it? The Curtis album.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to say why, but that was because Kanye was so big at the time.
Yeah,
and it was the whole 50 v Kanye thing, isn't it?
That's
Do you know
right,
what I mean?
yeah.
If I sell more, I'll retire, or what have you. And I think Kanye
he lost his hunger by then. He didn't care.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, he had done a lot, but in that short time, he had done films, like you said, trainers, clothes, couple G-Unit albums, his albums, soundtracks. He had done a lot by the time Curtis came out.
And I think it's clear to see, like, where he said he was like, what more can I do? He's like, I've sold 10 million on my debut. I sold 10 million on my follow-up. I've made other people rich. Tony Yayo, who was in jail, was getting millions of dollars. Lloyd Banks, I've made a star. Young Buck, I've made a star. I made the game a star. What more can I do? And I really think by the time the Curtis album was out, I think he just did that to motivate himself.
I
don't think he cared about the music anymore, man. You could tell, like, the music was just dipping.
There's a couple tracks on there, but there's no way it's
nowhere near
Massacre or Get Rich. You know what I mean?
Nowhere near. And you could tell when he was on Guess Who's Back and all that, the hunger was there, bro. Like, the wit, the charisma, all of it was just there. He was just saying some wild stuff. When it came to Curtis, he was just going through the motions, man. He wasn't even like writing songs of that quality anymore that he was doing before. He was just rapping. I mean, so the decline was there, but I think it was coming, because if I had sold 10 million at the gate, I'm like, what more can I do? I'm not going to do that again. You know what I mean? He did it again. Yeah. He had done everything. He had earned so much money, and it's just like, where's the hunger going to come from?
100%.
So I don't really blame him, to be honest. He had done his bit, man.
No, definitely, man. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Definitely 50, man. So my number 3, last one for buzzes that didn't disappoint. I had Dre down, but I feel we've given him enough props tonight with Chronic and Doggy Style and everything, man. So I'll go to my honorable mention, which is AZ. Now, there's a kind of a bit of a... I don't think he had a mega buzz. Like, if you're going to go off of the back of who we've been speaking of, like Redman, you know what I mean, Snoop, 50, AZ's buzz weren't like that. But I want to say AZ because obviously after his verse on Illmatic, everyone was hungry for, they wanted to hear more in it. Up to now, they probably still say it's one of the best guest verses or introductions into the game or what have you, considering he weren't like a known MC or rapper or anything like that. So that's why obviously Nas will turn around and say he had no famous guest appearances, because no one knew who AZ was like that before. And obviously he delivered the goods on that verse, and so everyone wanted to hear more. It's kind of reminds me a bit of Rapanoid, you know what I mean, when he had his Star RAPP. Obviously when he done his verse, that's what made people want to hear an album, and even labels want to sign him. But anyway, so obviously AZ done that verse. People was feeling that, wanted to sign him after that. And for me, I wanted to hear more. I liked AZ. I remember going to a show. It was meant to be. It was in. I think it might have even been in a temple in Tottenham, somewhere local. Anyway,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I'm telling you, man. It was. It was meant to see. It was meant to be AZ, Buster,
Keep talking, bro.
Shaheem.
Keep going.
Yeah. It was meant to be AZ, Buster, and Shaheem. And I don't know what happened, man, but Shaheem never showed up. AZ never showed up, and it was just Buster. But obviously, Buster didn't disappoint, man. He put on a good show. He came and met us all in the queue and that as well before. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted to hear AZ. I was an AZ fan, man. I liked his whole delivery. I even liked his voice, man, because I'm a fellow high voice person in it. So man, when I hear people that's got a high voice and deliver the goods, I'm like, yeah, man, there's hope. You know what I'm saying? But AZ came, man, and when he dropped that Do or Die for me, Do or Die, sorry, I thought it was hard, man. Like it was on. I had it spinning a lot, man. Obviously, Sugar Hill was good. I thought it was a little bit cheesy before. I like it better now than I did before. But I still like the single. I still bought the single. I thought it was a good single. But yeah, the album for me, I love it, man. I say it's a personal classic because a lot of people like it, but I hear a lot of people say it's not what a lot of people big it up to be. For me, it's a personal classic. I think Do or Die was an excellent album. I still think, More Money, More Murder, him and Nas, and that's probably my favorite AZ and Nas track together. The track Bravo Unique with Pete Rock on that. I Feel For You. There's just so much on the album. I think that still gets heavy spins from me, man. We Can't Win. Yeah, I think it's a hard album, man, and I think it met up to my expectations from hearing that verse. I know he's not mentioned, but really quickly, no disrespect to Mkhh. I think he's a good MC, good lyricist, but same kind of thing. When I heard that AZ verse, I wanted to hear an album, and I got it, and it delivered. Same kind of thing with Mkhh, though. Do you know what I mean? When he dropped his verse on Nas's Affirmative Action, I was hungry for an album. I remember I was in college drafting up what I thought the album would be, just literally making up tracks and features and stuff like that. I even designed artwork and everything for it, just as a little thing in college that we was doing. When I got the album, I liked it, but for me, it didn't have the same impact that I thought it was going to have. Like AZ's did. So I definitely want to mention AZ's albums. I think it met the buzz and it delivered, man. For me, delivered. Still an album I listen to. Still an album I appreciate, man. My favorite drop from him.
The most respectful thing I could say about AZ is I liked half of Do or Die, and I think that's pretty much it for me with regard to AZ. I think the Life's a Bitch verse was cool. It was good. I don't think it's what people make it out to be like the greatest verse, and I never got that. I thought it was just a good verse, to be honest. It was amazing. It didn't blow my mind as a kid. It didn't blow my mind as a teenager. It didn't blow my mind as an adult. So I don't know. Personally, it never ticked no boxes for me. As being like the greatest thing I've ever heard in that kind of sense. I didn't really hear a buzz really for AZ. I mean, people say, yeah, the verse is great, and yeah, he should drop an album, but I don't remember it being sort of
a buzz thing.
People really kind of wanted to slap their grandmothers to get this album thing. Do you know what I mean?
Put her in handcuffs,
You know what I mean? I don't remember that kind of heat level for AZ. When the album came out, I really liked Ho Happy Jackie, which is like one of my favorite ho shaming songs. I like the first half. I was like, damn, this is, and then it got to like track 6 or 7, and then it just fell off a cliff for me, man. Like, just I don't know, the beats, and I just didn't like the second half. So for me, it was on its way to being a great album, but I only like really hard. Yeah, and so I've never liked AZ, to be honest. I think his name was trash. AZ, like what's that? His voice is high, and I just don't like the way he pronounces some word. I don't know. I just can't listen to AZ. He just does nothing for me at all. I can't do it. He's just one of those rappers I just can't tolerate.
See, and I'm never going to be one of these guys that try and sell someone. If someone don't like someone, they don't like someone. But I've always thought he was a sick rapper. Like, I think his flow, as I said before, I actually like his voice, his flow, his delivery. For me, I don't think he has a bad album. Do you know what I mean? But if you're not an AZ fan,
great, like outside of
Do or Die would be no. Outside of Do or Die,
he's got a load of.
He's got good albums. You know what I mean? He's got good albums. He's definitely got good albums. I've actually gone blank. I'm trying to remember the names of some of them now. I've literally gone blank, and that's such a bad look, man. But he's got albums that I enjoy, definitely. Nine Lives was decent. The second one he dropped, Pieces of a Man, I think it was.
I hated that.
That was okay. A couple of the tracks I felt was okay, but not one of the good ones for me as well. Asiatic was good. AWOL was good. AWOL's probably one of the best AZ albums outside of Do or Die. AWOL. Then obviously, yeah, the names are gone for me, man. That's actually terrible. It's not doing AZ any justice. But as a rapper, man, I think he's actually really good rapper, man. But obviously, if you're not a fan, you're not going to be a fan. Nothing I say is going to change that.
He never interested me. Never grabbed my attention. I never saw the hype. Just never did it for me, man. I tried to listen to his stuff, and he was just, I don't know. I think it's the flow, his voice. I just didn't like him. Sorry, not for me, man. Right. So AZ, who was last on my list?
So you got your last one on ones that didn't disappoint.
Let's see. So I've had Snoop and I've had 50, and I think the last one on my list, was Wooten.
Yep.
Not a solo, obviously, but as far as a hip hop group, the doors were blown off.
Of course, man.
And I think the first thing I heard from Wu-Tang was, I'm not sure if it was Protect Your Neck.
It was Protect Your Neck for me.
I think it was Protect Your Neck. And obviously can rap along with that song word for word now. Could then, and I was just like, who are these guys? This is just ridiculously crazy.
It was the organized chaos of it all.
It was just so raw and just disgusting and just fire. Can you imagine if a group came out with that shit today, bro? Just nasty, gritty MCs, one guy doing all the beats, just all these guys just wilding out over these crazy beats, bro. And then I saw the MTV intro that they did. So they did Mystery of Chess Boxing, where they were doing a video, and they had like a chessboard, and they had people like doing like the and they were Fab Five Freddy was going around, like all of the members of the group and stuff, and they were all like gritty, like early 20s, like I'm Raekwon, I'm Method Man, and it was just so dope, man. Just I remember just watching it as a kid, just like who are these guys?
Definitely,
and when the album came out, man, just oh my god. So I remember thinking, how many people are actually in this group? And then when it was called the 36 Chambers, I was young in it. I thought, what is 36 songs on this shit? Because there's so many people that I wouldn't be surprised if there was 36 tunes. You know what I mean? But when it was like, I think it was 12 or 13 or whatever, and then just top to bottom, just fire.
Every track, man.
The video for chess boxing dropped on the box. Bruv, it was just something else. And if you weren't there to experience how dope this was, just Ghostface not being able to see his face because he was on the run from cops, and then Inspector Deck's verse and ODB, the way he just bridged it up. It was just fire.
Bro, even Master Killer. It's still my favorite Master Killer verse. Not even lyrically, but his energy on that, man. He's never rapped like that again.
Just crazy. And then after that, Cream came out. And obviously we know how dope Cream was. And they just couldn't miss, man. And yeah, just that album just is just incredible, man. Just top to bottom. Just
agreed.
Fire, the biggest group in hip hop history, period.
Agreed.
And they did it without compromising once. They like that album is just what they wanted to make. And then the idea to have all of them break off and do their little duos or solos or whatever it may be, and have one guy making all of the music that will fit all of these guys totally differently.
Come on, man.
What can you say, bruv? Just, you know what I mean? Just crazy.
I fully agree, man. Everything you said, I second that, man. I remember, and obviously I'm gonna make myself sound like a kid, but I was a kid at the time, and it was like 12, 13. And I remember everywhere, whether it was school or my textbooks, you know what I mean, and my rough book or the tables or even on my wardrobe at home, man. I remember writing everywhere, you'd be writing the Wu-Tang sign. At school, we'd be like, you know what I mean, painting the Wu-Tang sign places everywhere. It impacted us like crazy, that whole Wu-Tang album, man. I remember even pretending that I was going to start a crew and call it the Jew-Tang, right? And it was going to be like the kids of the Wu-Tang members, you know what I mean? So it was called Jew-Tang, like Junior Tang, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking, yeah, that will work. I'll be like A&R or some kind of madness, innit? You're a kid.
Yeah, they would have got you on copyright there, bro.
Big time. But I was thinking, it's just a mad one, innit? It just, the impact was huge, man. You think, man, everywhere you went, which is Wu-Tang.
Yep.
People rapping Wu-Tang songs, Cream, just everything, like you said, man. It definitely had a huge impact, man. And one of my top 10 hip-hop albums.
To this day, man, you could just play that album at any time and just different, bro.
Crazy, man. So that for time's sake, then I'm going to run on to the my first one of the ones that had a big buzz that disappointed, and you just set me up perfectly accidentally. But you were talking about Wu-Tang, obviously, in the mastermind of RZA, how he had everyone from the beginning planning to spark off and do their thing. You see where I'm going, man. But I've got to say it, man. Method Man, Mr. Clifford Smith. I'm gonna go him, man. You got to say it. When Wu-Tang dropped, I mean, Ghost has always been my favorite, but I still think Meth is probably the best rapper out of the crew, just my opinion. But Ghost is my favorite, right? But from the offset, from the jump, everyone knew Meth was going to be a star. Like, even just from Method Man, the song, it was incredible, innit? So when that Tikal dropped, I remember waiting for it to drop. I remember running to Same just for the beat after school and buying that album.
That's where I bought mine from as well.
Telling you, listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to get gunned down for this, but when I took it home and played it, I was bitterly disappointed, man.
So was I.
I thought, nah, because the buzz was huge, not only in you know what I mean, in the hip hop world, but for me and my circle and my people as well. He's like, yeah, man, I want to hear this Method Man album. When I played it, I don't know what it was, man, because I'll say this, it's much better today than I think it was then. Like, I feel when I listen to it now, I think, man, I was harsh on this because it's actually a good album. But back then, I don't know what it was. I just didn't like it, man. Like, there was a few songs I instantly liked. Bring the Pain, obviously, but maybe that's because we had the single and we lived with it a bit. Meth versus Chef, yeah. What the Blood Clot and Biscuits. Those are the ones that I proper really liked. But other than that, I didn't really check for the album, man. It was a disappointment for me. So even though it's not a disappointment now, I want to mention that one because that was a big buzz. And then when I played it, man, yeah, I felt deflated, man.
I'm 100% with you on that one, to be honest, man. And no disrespect to Meth at all. Like, Meth is a legend in many respects.
Definitely,
but,
man.
I didn't like it either on first listen of the album, which is weird because I was dating my kid's mum at the time. I think I was 14 at the time.
Yeah.
And I associate that album with her because anytime I go and see her, I had that album in my cassette player.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's got anything to do with how I feel.
Disliking it.
No. We still get on great to this day.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, we're lucky in that, very lucky in that respect. But I don't know. The music, I don't know. It just felt unfinished to me. It felt rushed. It just felt.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like the songs were like concepts that didn't quite that didn't quite get fully fleshed out.
Definitely felt incomplete. They almost felt like tracks
It
that
felt like
were
a demo.
left off Wu-Tang. Yeah.
It felt
Do
like
you
a
know what I mean?
demo album. It didn't feel like
Mm.
and I'm not saying that that's what it was. I'm saying that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It didn't feel finished. It felt like he'd started some songs, because I swear some songs were like 2 verses, and at that time, all songs were 3 verses and a hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that, I don't know, there was just something about it that just didn't hit for me. And I haven't listened to the album in a very long time, because although I didn't like it much, I listened to it a lot.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted it to grow on me, because I was a massive Woo stroke Method Man fan, and I kept listening to it. So there was like all the songs you mentioned. I loved Sandman, because Carlton Fisk absolutely obliterated that song. I liked Release Your Delf, because that was just a crazy stash. That song should never have worked. That sample, that beat should never have worked, but it worked. It absolutely worked. So when you actually think about it, now we're saying it, we've got what? Biscuits, Meth Chef, Bring the Pain, Release Your Delf, Sandman. So we've got
the blood clot,
the blood clot, the All I Need. So when you think about it,
damn, I forgot about
that's
All I
just at
Need.
the top of our head. That's 7 joints right there.
I mean, man,
do you know what I mean? So is it a bad
we were
album?
harsh. We were harsh kids,
It's not
man.
a bad album, but I think because the hype was so ridiculous, it didn't hit what I was hoping for initially when I first played the album. Did I think it was bad? No, because I played the shit out of it still, but it just wasn't what I was hoping for. I hope that makes sense to people.
It does. I think it was because it was off the back of 36 as well.
Yeah,
that was so incredible.
So
every
big.
song.
It's almost
you
like
kind of felt.
If we listen to Snoop album off the back of the Chronic, off the back of Nothing But a G Thing and all that, and it was just it would be you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But Snoop's album was clear, so that's why that we still talk about that album now. You won't really talk about Tikal with the same kind of reverence as you would with Doggy Style. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I was expecting to speak about Meth's debut album with the same reverence as a Doggy Style, because that's what I had hoped for, but it didn't quite hit that level for me.
Definitely. Fully agree. Which is a shame, because he's one of the best rappers out. I think he's got one of the best flows in
up to this
in
day,
the whole
man.
hip-hop.
He can flow over any beat, and he doesn't cuss in his raps, and he can still out rap a lot of these guys who are rapping now. So yeah, big respect to Meth, man.
Definitely, man.
All right, another obvious one for me when it comes down to flops is Cannabis.
100%.
And I think that one I would label as a flop, because everything Cannabis was on before his album was disgusting.
Yeah,
it was
definitely
absolute just filth, slime, nasty, just killing everything. He just stepped on a tune with my favorite MC at the time and just flicked him off that Lost Boys tune.
Beats from the East, yeah.
Just Redman's verse was not trash. Like he needs, right? So I heard Redman's verse and I was like, okay, who's this Cannabis guy? Cannabis comes on, and after that verse was done, I was like, oh shit, what did I just listen to? And to this day, I could still play that verse just like, this guy was thirsty, hungry, starving, malnourished.
He was an animal, man. He went human.
Disgusting, bro. And I think two things. Firstly, he had the buzz of beefing with LL Cool J, which I think might have knocked him off course a little bit for that album. Which should have built his buzz even bigger, because he, in my opinion, he smashed LL Cool J with Second Round Knockout. People said that LL beat him. I don't understand how, but anyway, that's another discussion.
He done well, considering at the stage he was at in his career.
No one knew who he was.
People were surprised.
Mike Tyson in the video, blah blah blah.
No. I mean, LL Cool J done well for his stage in his career. You've got young, hungry Cannabis, and I think that's why a lot of people say, "Oh, LL won." I think it's because you got young, hungry, like non-human Cannabis, and then you've got LL at that stage of his career to still put out a decent diss track. I think people were pleasantly surprised. You get me? Cannabis definitely won, in my opinion.
I'm not even saying no to that, bro. I'm saying no to the fact that LL Cool J was a grown man who did a bitch move.
Come on, man. That's a whole other story.
So the fact that you listened to the man's verse,
change your whole thing up.
You changed your whole shit. No, that's some pussy shit.
100%, man.
So
100%.
I'm never giving LL props for that. That's some bitch made nasty. And LL was writing raps dirty backing on other men's women. So that tells you what kind of guy he was. He drinks too much. He smokes too many blunts. I'm gonna take you like fuck off, man.
That's funny.
So I had I've got no respect for where that beef came from at all. Because if you're gonna beef with him, you don't change your verse and attack him on that track when he was clearly showing you respect about let me borrow that mic from your armor. You're trying to as some dick. Like he didn't dish you, and he was a new rapper coming. You were just scared, bro, because you listened to his verse and thought, oh, he just murdered me on my own shit. So then you attack. Nah. But anyway,
he'll even say it now that he responded wrong. Do you know what I mean?
That was some bitch pussy made nonsense that he did there. Grown man, you know. Nah, I don't respect that at all. So I'll always give Cannabis the W for that, 100%. And anyway, coming back to the album. Now my cousin, big up Gerald, he was a massive fan of this album, like massive Cannabis fan. He'll be calling me, going, "Have you heard that new Cannabis freestyle? The Cannabis." That's all he was talking about.
I was the same. Was
enamored with this guy, and I really liked Cannabis because he was murdering everything. But even when the album came out, I was just like, "Why is Wyclef doing the beats on this? What is this shit?" Like the Get Retarded beat was just retarded. It was just
I think that was Salam Remy that done that, but. Same.
Musically just didn't make sense. I was like, you had access to Eric Sermon, and everyone would have wanted to make beats for you because you were
in '98. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
you were the hottest thing in hip hop. You could have had any producer like Eric. He was down with Def Squad as well. I heard him rap over Keith Murray, with Keith Murray over some shit. That is one of the hardest bass lines ever in hip hop. And I was thinking, why didn't you have this kind of shit on your debut album? But I don't know, man. He had Buckingham Palace, and I remember like
Buckingham Palace was hard, yeah.
Buckingham Palace was
and
hard.
How We Roll was hard.
Second round knockout was hard, but then he had some rap rock song on. I don't know, man. It was just so disappointing.
It was a huge. I'd probably say that's one of the top 5 biggest hip hop disappointments for me. So going off of the back of a Big Buzz. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, his features, man. Like he just disgusting, man. The thing, look, here's Pun. Like, you know what I mean? Say No More. It's Pun. Pun was obviously on the what's it called? Fantastic 4 track. He didn't know Cannabis was going to be on it. When he found out Cannabis was going to be on it, what did he say? He was like, "Oh, if I knew he was going to be on it, I would have wrote a better verse." Do you know what I mean? You had someone like Pun in his prime thinking to himself, "Man, I need to write better verses if Cannabis is going to be on it." That's the effect he had on people. Do you know what I mean? His verses were. They were literally ridiculous, man. I used to think, how did this guy sit down and write verses like this?
Me too. I would literally sit there like, how did he? He said a very basic line one time, but at the time, I was just like, it was so basic but so hard. Where he said something like, "I hop in the backseat of a cab and ride until the meter says 9."
Yeah. That was How We Roll, I think.
It was just the way he said it, and it was just so fire. I don't know.
His delivery, everything.
Everything.
It was
insane. So good. And yeah, man, I don't know.
I think probably, sorry to carry on, but I think maybe, I don't know if his arrogance didn't help him though, because I remember that the clip we've all seen when it's him, John Forte, Pun, Mos Def, DMX, they're sitting around the table and they're all going around. You got to remember, this is '98, so Mos Def was obviously he was about to do. I can't remember if it was after or before the thing he done with Talib. So he had done that. So you got DMX, who had a huge buzz at the time. John Forte, all right, still off of the Fugees buzz. Do you know what I mean? You had guys on there that weren't slouches. You know what I mean? And they're like going around in a circle, and he's like, "Nah, I want to go last." He said, I feel I've earned that right to go last. Bro, this is like '98. He hadn't even dropped his album yet.
Yeah.
Just feature verses, but he's earned the right to go last. I remember watching it thinking, right, this guy's arrogant. But no one argued with him, no? You understand what I'm saying? No one argued with him.
But he was highly respected, bro. Highly.
Just for other verses, that's what I mean.
But other MCs were scared to jump on the track with him because he was just saying the wildest shit and it was fire.
That's what I mean,
for him to drop the album, I remember he said on his next album, he apologized for it and said, "Wow, Wyclef spoiled it."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah. And then at the time, I thought to myself, I respect the fact that he acknowledges that he could have done a better album, but I'm not buying that apology, bro, because you know that you should have had a classic on the.
You should have said, "I'm not putting this out."
Right. That album should have been talked about amongst the greatest debut albums because he had earned that buzz with his verses.
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, man. There's no doubt about that.
So for me, man, that one has to be like, high on the list of. Yeah, you let us down with that one, bro. He let himself down, and he knows he did, which is cool.
And it's sad. It's sad because I know it's a bit harsh, but I lost all interest like immediately after that.
Well. Yeah,
I don't think I've sat through a full Cannabis album ever since then. So I just almost just immediately lost interest. I know that's dark, but just literally.
His beat picking was very suspect. I don't think he's good at picking beats because a lot of the way he raps and the stuff he says, you can't just rap that over a Trackmaster's beat. Do you know what I mean? You have to pick certain production for it to work. And I don't think he's done that. I don't think he's found that producer that he works really well with that could really make a dope album with him. And it definitely wasn't flipping Wyclef, man.
Nah, I think you mentioned it. I think Eric Sermon would have been a great choice.
That would have
for him.
Eric Sermon. When I heard him rapping over that bass line with Keith Murray, I was like, boy, if he had given us an album with Eric Sermon, Def Squad beats, it would have been over.
Because 4321 was Eric Sermon, innit?
It was.
Yeah, that was Eric Sermon, innit? So that's what I mean. Imagine something like that.
Imagine.
That'd have been insane.
So yeah, Cannabis, man.
Okay, yep, hear that. All right, so I said the Cannabis is probably top 5 disappointments. The one I'm going to mention is definitely in there for you as well, man. It's got to be the Firm. The Firm.
Oh yeah,
definitely, man. I mean, say no more, man. Just from affirmative action alone and the odd features that they had, I thought it was going to be incredible, man. You got Foxy, AZ, Nas, Kamega.
It should have been Kamega, then it was Nature.
Then it was Nature. Yeah, Nature's decent. I actually prefer Nature to Kamega. If I'm talking about lyrically, I'd probably take Nature over Kamega. But still, either or, man, it could have still been something special. It should have been better than it was, man.
Yeah,
I can honestly, hand on heart, say, out of that whole album, I played that thing and I was like, nah. And Dre as well. How can we not even mention Dre? Do you know what I mean? It was all like a recipe. It should have been something magical, man. But there's literally 2 songs on that whole album that I liked, and it was the track with Cannabis.
5 minutes to fly.
Nah, not even that. Not even that.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I'd probably have to listen to it again. But the only ones that come to mind was the song with Cannabis that we were just talking about. Is it Cowboys? Desperados. Cool. Yeah, once again, he killed that. And the single that they dropped,
Firm Biz.
Nah, I hated that, bro.
Yeah,
even though I like the Tina Marie song, I don't like that though. What's the Phone Tap? Did he say Phone Tap?
Nah.
Is it Phone Tap? Did they drop a song called Phone Tap?
Yeah, they dropped Phone Tap, and they had a video for that as well.
I like that. That's literally it, bro. Other than that, I weren't feeling any of it. I don't know where they were going. The whole concept I like, even the whole look of it, looking like the Casino, which is one of my favorite films. Just the whole thing, man. I know it was that time, innit? It was that whole gangster. It was that whole time, man. They could have done a much better job, man. I don't know what happened, but flopped, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dre weren't in the right headspace or
Dre was coming off the back of a flop, wasn't he? With
the whole aftermath. Yeah.
He was starting a new label. I personally don't think Dre and Nas match well. I didn't like Nas's coming at all.
I love that, man. You know, it's only on Twitter that I hear that gets sticky though. I've never heard any. Really, I loved it, man.
The
chorus is horrible, man. The
whole smoking a blunt before it was just man. It was just I didn't like it. I didn't like the beat. I
love the beat, man. No spits on that, man. I love it, man.
He was just adding in too much shit, and it just didn't work, man. It was just shit. Just trash.
I don't like the hook. I definitely don't like the hook.
The hook was nasty. I couldn't wait for that shit to finish. I skip it to this day. I don't like it. Man. So I wasn't amped for the Firm, if I'm being honest, because I just don't think Dre and Nas is a good match, bro. I just don't.
Okay.
Foxy, I thought she was getting her raps written for her. I wasn't too bothered about Foxy. She was just there. Then they did the change with Cormega and Nature, and I was like, "Who's Nature? That's a trash name."
Yeah.
But as you said, Nature, he was better than I thought he would be. I'd never heard of him before he was on the album, and I don't like AZ. So
yeah, that's true. Actually,
yeah.
so
So for me, it wasn't something I was anticipating greatly. You know, Dre was coming off that, as I said, you know, the Aftermath album that didn't go so well. So I wasn't really looking forward to the album. So it wouldn't. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was.
So you weren't expecting much anyway. So
I was
probably weren't a disappointment for you.
Nah, I bought it.
Yeah.
Because I bought everything, but yeah, I didn't think it was good at all. I thought it was a very poor album.
It was.
I didn't like Trackmasters. Anything about Trackmasters at the time. Even now, I don't like Trackmasters. I think they did a lot of beat stealing. They did like lowest hanging fruit kind of beats. Like, we're gonna take this sample and we're just gonna put an R&B singer over it, and we're gonna make that. It was just beats by numbers.
They definitely took things and flipped it a bit. I'll never forget the Mary J track. Even though I love the Mary J track, I always used to think that, what's it? The Evils, isn't it? J, and then you've got Mary J's Round and Round. Yeah, you know J's. Yeah, that Primo produced.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So Mary J's. Yeah, Round and Round. It's the same beat. They probably added a few more piano keys and brightened it up, and then it's Trackmasters. How can you call that Trackmasters beat? That's Primo's beat that you've just added. Do you know what I mean? So they definitely done that a lot. I get that. Yeah.
I didn't. If it said produced, but that's probably another reason why it was written wasn't magical to me, bro. It wasn't. Nas's rapping rapping elite. The beats just have never grabbed me. Never. It's good to me, but I just don't like the music, man. And yeah, Trackmasters is a big part of that.
Yeah, it's weird because they've actually got a lot of tracks that they've got production credits on a lot of albums I like. As we know, it was written on my favorite Nas album, and they've definitely got tracks that I like. But I think their whole run, there's cherry picked tracks that I'm feeling, but their whole run does feel like something that was like very for the radio, very I'll take this and just put a little spin on it.
It doesn't feel organic to me. That's to me. I don't care what other people think. To me, I didn't check for Trackmasters. I never did. So if I saw their name attached, produced by Trackmasters, I instantly had a little bit of a bias. Like, I'm not gonna like this, and I was totally right because it was Trackmasters and Dre, basically, wasn't it? For that.
Yeah, it was.
So I knew what they were going for, and it just didn't work for me at all. So,
okay.
I totally agree with that one, my brother. I think, is this the last one for me?
Yeah, so we should have one more each because I said, what did I say? Disappointing. I said meth, and I said firm.
Okay.
What did you say?
My next one is
you said cannabis. Yeah. Your second. That's all right. Go ahead.
This is my second. J Electronica.
Yeah, I get that.
So I don't really need to explain too much about this one. You know, we had the tune with Just Blaze, where Exhibit C, that was like 10 years worth of living off that one tune. People will tell you, but he's got multiple leaked. I don't care about leaked shit.
Let's have a proper project, man.
Let's have some proper music. It's leaked, it's not finished, it's not mixed. You're just going off because you want that hype to be real. So you're just saying anything he drops is like this. It's not.
Yeah.
It's leaked, it's not finished. It wasn't meant to be heard by you. Shiny Suit Theory and all of that, it was all right. But when you heard Exhibit C, you were like, this is the shit.
Yeah, let's hear this.
And then how long did we wait? 10 years for the album?
Easily, yeah. Easily.
If you're making me wait 10 years for an album, that shit better blow my fucking mind. Better blow my socks off. I better be listening to that every single day. I listened to the album the day it dropped, and maybe the day after, just to see if I still hated it.
What are we talking about? Written testimony?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And then to drop that shows you. I'm kind of thinking, actually, what did he drop? I almost forgot. And then to drop something with that, you're only doing 50% of it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like Jay was all over it, and I was just,
Yeah.
what is like? I know some people love it, maybe because it's Jay, maybe because Jay Electronica finally gave them something to call an album. But for me, I don't give a shit about all that. I'm talking about strictly music. I don't listen to that album anymore. I listened to it twice, and
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't a 10-year wait for an album, in my opinion. So yeah, for me, Jay Electronica is on that list for making us wait 10 years for a written
And
testimony.
have such a big buzz, yeah. No, I hear that. I'm the same, obviously, as most people know. Jay's my favorite rapper. Jay-Z, I mean. Um, so obviously I'm gonna listen to anything that drops, do you know what I mean, from him. Um that whole written testimony, I listened to it twice, went listened to it once, weren't feeling it. I thought, okay, let me listen to it again, still weren't feeling it, left it for months, went back to it again just to see if I was feeling it still. Same. I never really got anything. Now Jay Electronica, I think, is a very good rapper, man. Even his verse on the Prime, you know, I can't remember what the song's called now, but he's on the Prime album, isn't he?
Yeah.
Royce and Primo album, and I love that verse. Is it me to you or something like that? I've gone blank
Yeah, I
anyway,
know,
but
yeah.
I like that verse. I like that verse, and I thought, yeah, I remember he even came over to do a show, and I had a ticket booked. I thought I'm actually going to a concert off of the strength of like three
One
songs
song.
and a feature. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, all right, but I was anyway. He ended up cancelling it. It never happened, but he could deliver us something really good, man. And
And
I
that's what
didn't
we was all
hear.
hoping for. And he didn't do that, man. And I'm not going to pretend that he did for his minions online.
Nah, definitely,
He didn't.
definitely.
That album is not a 10-year wait album for me, man. Simple as that.
Nah, nah. Did you hear the thing he dropped or leaked or someone got hold of after?
What,
I
the
can't remember what
Exhibit
it was.
C, the actual album,
Album.
the
Yeah,
actual album that should have come out.
that's right. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I've got
It
it.
was.
I didn't really listen to it yet.
I
I've
haven't even listened to it, to be honest with you.
no, I don't even think I think I might have started it, but again, it didn't grab me, so I was like, oh, I'll get to it. And that was about a year ago.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll get to it at some point, and hopefully it lives up. But I think the fact that you have producers saying this is the greatest album I've ever heard, uh, this is like going to change hip hop, da da da. Then that never came out, and then he gives us this half-assed album with Jay. So it was almost like he was taking the piss out of us.
yeah.
I didn't appreciate it, personally, man. So I ain't gonna spend no more time talking about him. I didn't
No,
like
I
it.
agree with you. I agree with you, man. All right.
Not worth the time.
Nah, definitely. It was definitely a disappointment after Big Buzz. Agreed, man. All right. So, lastly, then, my last one that had a big
Yeah.
buzz that didn't meet up to the expectation for me
Mm-hmm.
is none other than Jadakiss. Got to mention him, man. I put him in the
Ooh,
same.
Jada.
I put him in the same bracket as Meth in a sense of when you're just looking at these as standalone rappers. Obviously, you got Meth and Wu, you got Kiss and Locks. Jadakiss is a phenomenal MC, man. He's probably one of the MCs that has probably the most amount of quotables. If you just say, if I was to put a post up and say, what's your favorite Jadakiss lyric or verse, there'd be probably everyone would be different. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's got quotables, he's got verses. When he features on tracks, he kills it. Jadakiss is a top tier MC, and when he says, "Oh, I'm top five, dead or alive," I know why in his mind and his eyes he probably really believes that because if you're just looking at him as a standalone rapper, he's top tier, like Meth, top tier. But I think they're the same in a sense of as much as they're loved and respected in the hip hop game, I don't think they've delivered a classic. I'm not talking about group albums. I mean solos. I don't think they've delivered a classic to me. Um, that debut, I was hungry for that because I'm
Yeah.
hearing his features on the Rough Riders albums. Obviously, his Locks features, his features on DMX albums, whatever. I'm thinking this album's gonna actually be mad. It dropped. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of songs on there that I really like, that I play regularly.
Mm.
But on a whole, as an album, that was really disappointing for me, man. I didn't feel it at all. Two, three songs, and that was it. It was one of those ones where I couldn't even get to the end of a lot of the songs. I'd have to
Mm.
skip them.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And I've
Yeah.
revisited a few times to see. And done the same with albums throughout his catalogs. He's got good albums in a sense of, okay, they're all right. But for an MC of his caliber, he shouldn't be giving us albums like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I I guess I have to agree. I love Jadakiss as a rapper. Always have, and he says like a load of slick shit. Like he's got a load of lines where it's just like, I did songs with Big, like no made up shit.
Yeah.
He's got so many like just clever lines. But he seems to have some kind of mental block when it comes to making albums. It's almost like he's not entirely sure what he wants to make or who he wants to make the album for.
Yeah.
Or what audience he's making it for. Yeah, just there's always skips on his albums. He'll have a run of like 5 great songs, and then there'll be like 3 ridiculous songs, like on all of his albums. And I just feel like he's always just tried to tick too many boxes instead of just making a dope album. It's almost like he wants to be like, I want a radio song, I want a Neptune song, I want a song for the girls, I want a song for the clubs, I want a song for the streets. And that very, very rarely works, that formula. Nah. Very rarely do you listen to an album that has, because normally if you just make the album without thinking consciously, I have to make songs for these demographics. If you just make music you want to make, those demographics will gravitate to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I had women that absolutely loved Mkh's album, Tikal. Redman says that women love There Is a Dark Side. None of those albums have women-friendly songs, as in like R&B hooks or, you know, party tunes and all that kind of stuff. They're just grimy songs. So don't put your audience down to the lowest common denominator. Like your audience, they are smart. Like you don't need to pander to them. And I think Jada is always just making easy access. He knows he can do better. He knows he can make a classic album, and it's almost like he's teasing us by like, I know I can make a classic album, but this is what I want to make. I'm making what I need to make, rather than giving you what I know you want me to do. Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like, Jadakiss.
Because even All I Need with Mkhh, like that was a so-called ladies track, and that weren't poppy or really apart from Mary singing on it, that went R&B.
That was grimy.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's got a good Power You on there. Do you know what I mean? Like he weren't talking under that like, I want to take you from your man, or that LL Cool J lip licking nonsense. He was talking that real stuff, man. So yeah, I don't know, man. Jadakiss, he's got it in him, man. He always has, but I don't know. It's just almost like he knows it, but he just can't be bothered.
he needs Styles to executively produce his albums, man, because when it comes to making albums, Styles knows how to make albums, man.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I'm saying? They're always consistent, man, and you can always let them run. They've always got the same sort of feel consistently through it, even though he will have a couple songs that you feel maybe are produced a little bit more commercially. It's still consistent, man. Even the last thing he just dropped, the Ghosting, it's you know what I mean? It's good, man. It's a good project at this stage. And yeah, definitely Jadakiss, man. It's disappointing to say because he's such a good MC, but yeah, album-wise.
I hear that, bro. I hear that, 100%.
So yeah, hit us with your final one, man.
Final one, man. It was kind of a mix-up between 2. And I think I might have to go with Junior Mafia.
Okay.
So Junior Mafia's buzz obviously was built off the back of Big, Players Anthem, then Get Money, 2 very big records.
Yeah,
both banging. Both had Big on there. I was like, this is good. The first time I heard Players Anthem, I was just like, oh, what is this, a new Biggie tune? But then it was like, oh no, it's just Junior Mafia. Who the hell is Junior Mafia? So obviously before the album drops, we used to get singles back in the day. So we had Players Anthem that banged for the whole summer. Then we had Get Money, banged for the whole winter. Jesus! Then the album dropped. And then I was like, this could have been so good. But it just wasn't very good. There was a couple tunes on there.
Yeah, there's a couple tracks on there.
But definitely. As an album, it didn't really, like, who cared about Junior Mafia outside of Lil' Kim, to be completely honest. I think there was someone called Klepto.
I was just gonna say Kleptomania was actually hard, you know.
Someone called. There was obviously C's, and I couldn't tell you anyone outside of those three.
I think Larceny, Snakes, a few others.
That was it. Larceny was one, yeah.
Cheat Delvet, a few. I did give that album a lot of spin. I must admit.
Yeah,
but it was okay. It was okay.
Did it live up to the hype that was?
Definitely not. Nah.
Players Anthem, Get Money, Need You Tonight with and Aaliyah in the video and all that. Yeah, man, it just didn't hit those high notes for me, man.
No, I hear that, man. What was the other one? You said you had a couple. Hit us
I'm not even gonna give Stuart Little any
Stuart Little. Oh, I already know, man. I already know. I think the listeners probably do too. Then,
yeah, they should know. Man.
But no, Junior Mafia, yeah, no, I hear that. Because obviously, off the back of Big, you're thinking Big's in, you know, what I mean, co-signing these people, and I heard he wrote most of the stuff. I don't know,
but of songs on there. You can tell by some of the rap styles on there. You could tell that Big was heavy in that album. And it wasn't a bad album it wasn't bad. It just wasn't what I was hoping those lead singles were leading to, basically. I thought those lead singles were leading to something epic, and especially that Big was involved. But I think
they put out the best tracks, definitely.
Yeah, but what Big was saying was like he wanted them to be as hungry as him, like to make money and make a legacy. So he was like, I can write the raps, but you're gonna need to make the songs and do that. And I just don't think I don't think they just matched his hunger and his ability, basically, man, which is hard to do. But yeah.
You know what track is good though? There's a track on there I still play a lot, apart from the singles that we mentioned.
White Chalk.
Nah, that's heavy though. But Kleptomaniac and Biggie. I don't know if Biggie wrote Klep's verses, but he was on par with him, man. What's the track? Lord. Oh my Lord.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me bring out. I've got the album on here, man.
Oh my Lord, Kleptomaniac and Biggie. That track, I still spin that a lot.
I love White Chalk, Players Anthem, Need You Tonight, Get Money, and all of those was in a line. Players Anthem, Need You Tonight, Get Money was all together. Backstabbers, Oh My Lord, yeah. So there were some tunes on there.
There were, that's what I mean. I spun that a lot that summer. What was that, 95, 96? That was 95.
That was 95, because it was the year after Ready to Die, and that's why I thought, new Biggie already? Yeah, 95, man. And that was a horrible year for people to drop, because there was so much classic music that come out in 95. So if your shit wasn't up here,
it just got overlooked, man. Definitely. Yeah. I think 95 and 96, in my opinion, obviously it might be because of my age as well, because I know most people will say 88, but I think 95 and 96 probably the best years, man, for releases.
But then you've got 93 and
93. Obviously you got Woo, Tribe,
Style.
Definitely, but 95 though, man. Something about 95. There was so much albums. I think if they dropped on a year other than that, it would have been. Do you know what I mean? 95 and 96, man. Solid. 95 is probably my favorite. I think 96 is probably the best. 95 was my favorite. And then 88, 93, 94. They're probably the top 5 for me. 88, 95, 96, 94. And 93. Wow, do they all go in a row like that? Yeah, something like that. They're probably the best ones, man.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't disagree with you. And then when we got to 97, that's when
it was just hip hop started doing whatever.
Hip hop started doing all kind of madness and took a dive off a cliff. But yeah, man. I mean, all of those albums and artists right there, man. Just man, some real memories there, man, of those albums, man, and what they mean. Like these albums weren't just albums to us, man. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, they were moments, they were memories, man.
Still be talking about them in way past the midway stage of 2021.
Definitely.
You know, when these albums dropped in early 90s. I mean, what albums that dropped this year we gonna still be talking about in 2050?
Nah, and once again, I just think it's just too much, man. Actually, it's not even that, because you look at 95 and then we got loads, but yeah, I just think our whole time now, man, and maybe that's another episode, but I personally just think we get too much, man. Too much music, man.
We don't get if we think about everything that we were just talking about, we're talking about the lead ups to all of these albums, all of these singles that were dropping before the album even came out.
That's what I mean. So it had time to create a buzz.
Yeah.
No one really has a buzz no more, really. It'd just be like, this is dropping on Friday.
Their own buzz. They literally will create their own buzz. They'll drop a song, it'll be talked about online for a few days. That's now a buzz. But before, you had to like go out and you'll hear the music on the radio, you'll go out and buy it, you live with a single before you even get the album. So that immediately is building, oh my God, like what are they doing on the album if this single is so good? You know what I mean?
Definitely, man.
Yeah, we don't get that no more, man. That's gone.
Nah, it's too accessible. I like what artists like only RJ Payne comes to mind at the moment, but I know a few others do it where they won't put it on streaming for like maybe the first month of its release.
Yeah.
So that if you want it, you need to go buy it or go download it or something and listen properly. Because I definitely think with the streaming, we just have too much. Listen, not really feeling it. That's it. Skip on to the next one.
And it's still classed as a stream.
Exactly. But you go like we were speaking about, but you go and spend money on an album or that, you know what I mean? You're going to live with that. You're going to want to hear that. You're going to listen to it. Or you're really going to want to hear it if you're going to spend money on it. Most people can stream stuff that they're not even really interested in listening. It's just to say that they've listened to it and then can say something online. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? So, we need to get those buzzes back, man, because like you said, that's the only way I think we're still going to be talking about music 20 years later. It's going to be, obviously, other than the art itself, it's going to be the whole buzz, man. Do you know what I mean? When I look at albums like Doggy Style or the, Woo or Chronicle, albums that we mentioned, just the artwork alone brings back a whole flood of emotions and memories, and do you know what I mean?
It's not it's not nostalgia either, because the music still slaps.
Exactly.
So you can't say it's only you just remember it slapping when you were 14 years old or no, because it still slaps now. And it's not because I'm 14. If I heard Nothing But a G Thing today, I'll still think that song was hard.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Another dope episode, man. Chopping it up, man. And yeah, those albums there, bro. Like they shaped us.
Definitely, man.
I don't know what albums are shaping these kids, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find out from my own kids. You know what landmark albums are out there that that are shaping your childhood, and they can only go by the albums that I'm playing. You know what I mean? We need more of that music. That's helping to to shape these kids, man. But man, we'll be back next week.
Definitely.
Tuning in as always, the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast with me, Notorious Jigs, aka Slack Supremacist, and my guy
E Major. One love. Appreciate you joining in, man. We'll be back with you again next week for another good episode, man.
Yeah, one love, man.
Peace, man. Take care.
Peace.